This is the Central Saint Matthew United Church of Christ in New Orleans. Formed from two vastly different churches, the history here is very interesting and dates all the way back to 1849. In 1849, the German Evangelical Congregation of Carrollton was started. The original church was made up of primarily white German immigrants. When construction on the building was completed, a weather vane in the shape of a rooster was placed on top, and the church was nicknamed the Rooster Church. In 1872, in another part of town, another church was founded in partnership with the American Missionary Association called Central Congregational Church. They purchased a glorious 1860 church building on South Liberty Street in New Orleans. This church would be an important part of the New Orleans area as it became the cultural center for the entire African American community. In 1911, the first daycare for African American families was founded by then-pastor Reverend Henderson Dunn. The Hume Child Development Center was named after Isabella Hume, who was the assistant pastor of the church from 1892 to 1896. And on April 13, 1915, Booker T. Washington came to New Orleans as part of a grand tour through Louisiana. That morning, he would give a speech to a large crowd of people. Later that day, a banquet was given at the Central Congregational Church in his honor. Sadly, Mr. Washington would pass away just a few months later at the age of 59. In 1923, the German Evangelical Congregation of Carrollton would construct a new building and be renamed to St. Matthew Evangelical Church. In 1930, Central Congregational would purchase a new piece of property for a new church to be built. The previous church site would be sold off in 1934, and the congregation would temporarily move to the newly formed Dillard University Chapel so the new church could be built. However, World War II started, so plans for the construction were halted, and it wasn't until 1944 when ground was finally broken. The new church on Bienville Street was completed and dedicated on November 18, 1945. Then, in 1957, when the National Congregational and Evangelical and Reformed denominations formed the new United Church of Christ, St. Matthew Evangelical and the Central Congregational Christian Church would become part of that one denomination. Just before Hurricane Katrina hit in 2005, services for both locations were sharing the Carrollton location because of termite damage to the building at Bienville. Unfortunately, the damage from the termites and the storm were too much, so services for both remained here at the Carrollton location. A final merger would take place in 2014 and create one unified congregation, Central Saint Matthew United Church of Christ, but raised controversy several years later when the decision was made by the new church to sell the church property on Bienville and remain in the Carrollton Church building. Some tried to say the merger had been illegal via a lawsuit because they felt the legacy wasn't being preserved. The suit was eventually thrown out by a judge, and what exists today in 2023 is essentially a young church and somewhat different from what was originally St. Matthew and Central Congregational. However, there is a goal to preserve the history of both churches and to honor the past, but also to move forward with some new designs and upgrades to the current aging building. They're letting me roam around inside the church for a little bit to check out some of the areas up here. I'm gonna go see what's through this door over here and walk to the other side of the building. It's like a little secret walkway over here that bridges the gap between this side and the other side of the building, the area behind the big pipe organ, which is some meeting rooms, some old classrooms, but I think upstairs they've just turned those rooms into some storage areas. Check out the old chalkboard on the wall here. In a lot of these rooms I keep seeing these little buttons, and then I've finally realized that they're connected to these old bells. I'd love to know how old these are. Another one of these rooms with the chalkboard still on the wall, and this one actually still has some math problems or whatever that was left from the last time it was used. Make my way up to the attic where the church bells are. There's an interesting story about the two bells that are here, but up here in the attic you can see the ropes that are used to pull the bells to ring them on Sunday mornings. In the north tower are two church bells. The smaller one weighing 300 pounds was cast in 1848 in Pittsburgh and was purchased and named Anna Maria by the German congregation in 1850. In 1890, the larger 1,100-pound bell was cast in St. Louis, Missouri, and purchased and dedicated in celebration of a new church building. Both bells have been announcing church services now at their current location here on Carrollton for the last 100 years. Check out this old inspection tag here from 1953. This was found in the basement down here. I'd like to thank the Central Saint Matthew United Church of Christ for letting me come here, film inside, roam around, check out all the nooks and crannies of the building, and really learn about the history of this beautiful, amazing church and building. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed a little lagniappe from this Who Dat, and go pass a good time.